Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my new channel. I'm here to talk about China's GDP growth today. And this article came out this morning. And you can see from the title, China's GDP grows a record 18.3% in the first quarter in virus rebound. This is absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this figure. This is probably the highest figure I've ever seen any country grow in the first quarter. And they're well within their rights to have an amazing GDP growth by the end of the year. So I want to compare this is from a British paper, but I want to compare what an American paper says about it. And you can see from Reuters, China's GDP hits record growth, but post-COVID recovery seen losing steam. Can you see the difference between an American paper and, say, for example, this is from CGTN, which is China, and a Chinese paper? You can see clearly the title. I mean, the American title tried to put a spin on it and say, oh, yeah, they didn't even put the 18.3% in the title. They just said, oh, GDP hits record growth, but post-COVID recovery seemed to be losing steam. Where is it losing steam? In fact, it's gaining steam. I mean, this is completely ridiculous, and it just shows American media how backwards thinking and negative they are about China's growth. And they're looking at this and you can see how jealous they are regarding China's growth. And China's growth is actually the largest out of any economy. Last year, it grew. China's economy last year is the only G20 country that had a positive growth. All the other countries had a negative growth, and they're jealous about that. So it just goes to show how decoupling with China is just not going to work. If you look at the West and American companies, they're putting tariffs and sanctions. Has it stopped China growing? No, it's not. It hasn't stopped China growing, and it just and the Western governments need to realize that no matter what you do, it's not going to stop China from growing, and it's best for these Western organizations, governments to work with China and share in the growth, not just bash China whenever they can, put sanctions, make up stories about Xinjiang and forced labor. It's just absolutely ridiculous, So I want to talk about also. I want to also talk about this because obviously China's GDP growth has got an amazing strength, and this is because the way China has, worked with coronavirus when it first came out, and all the steps China took to contain it, and it's worked, And when Wuhan was locked down way back last year, I believe it was sometime March or April last year, all the media was saying how it's violating human rights, and you can see this Guardian newspaper where it says China's reaction to the coronavirus outbreak violates human rights, while the rest of the West was just ignoring and letting people do whatever and letting the virus spread. And now look at the West now, and they're still trying to contain the virus. Europe is still in lockdown. Britain has been in lockdown for almost a year, and they've just come out of lockdown now, but they're going to go back into lockdown because every time I go out I see loads of people in pubs drinking and socializing. It's no social distancing, so you'll see in a few months how they'll go back into lockdown again. They haven't contained the virus. America is still having issues. India still having issues. Brazil, all the big democracy countries are still having issues with containing the virus, while China is in full steam ahead at the moment. And the West is really, really jealous about this because they see their democracy failing, because this is their democratic system which shows freedom and stuff. But if you give people too much freedom and let them do whatever they want, things like the virus will just spread. You need to contain people. You need to be strict with people and monitor people and make sure it doesn't spread. And that's what China has been doing. Whenever anyone in China gets a coronavirus, they get locked down. Everyone that's around them gets locked down. They got CCTV cameras, facial recognition, making sure people are not going out when they shouldn't be, things like that. So they've got a lot of steps in place to stop the virus from spreading. But the rest of the West, it's not even bothering with any of that. And now you can see China's GDP growth, and it's absolutely amazing. And they're in line to beat all expectations by the end of the year. Which, and I also want to kind of talk about how. I also want to talk about how basically the West, going against China, not working with China, is just going to hurt their own economy. Britain, for example, has just got out of Brexit, and you can see articles like this. This article came out. This article came out today, and you can see what the title says. Brexit pain for UK financial hub is just the beginning. About 7,400 jobs and 1.4 trillion in assets have moved or could move to EU from London, a new financial study finds. And as you can see, the Brexit and the coronavirus is heavily impacting UK, and the UK is not looking good at the moment, and they could go into a huge recession and huge huge financial consequences because of all this. And what they should be doing is joining China's economic growth, because if you have a country which is growing 18 to 20%, you need to be working with that company to help your own economy grow, not working against that economy. China is a growing economy in the world, and any country that goes against it is just going to affect them financially. So the government are kind of stupid for following America's lead and Trump's and Biden's stupid China policy. I mean, of containment. It's just not going to work. It's just going to hurt them long term. And you can see from what's happening to UK, and it's really is not looking good. Even the UK papers are still bashing China whenever they get a chance. You got silly articles like this saying China spying on millions, including Brits and Americans, by harvesting details from dark webs. I mean, China doesn't give a shit about British people or what they do. Trust me, they got 1.4 billion people in their country. They've got enough to worry about. They don't care about what the West is doing. They're only looking at their own economy, their own growth. I mean, China's growth is real at the moment, and the growth is based on manufacturing, local consumption, the policies, trade. That's what China's GDP growth is based on. But the West, including America and Britain, their growth is based on stimulus and loans and printing money. And America's $28 trillion in debt. It's printing money like crazy. They keep putting out 2 trillion, 3 trillion stimulus packages, and it's just debt, and they're just printing money, and that's not real growth. It's like you go into a bank and borrowing, say, £5,000 from the bank. You come home and say, "Oh, I'm £5,000 richer." It doesn't work like that. It's a loan. You're borrowing money from. It's not your money. You're borrowing money, and you're paying interest on that money. So that's all I wanted to say for today, really. But yeah, congratulations on China for getting this growth, and subscribe to my channel, like and share if you can, and let's chat in the comment section.